Ladies and gentlemen, breaking news. This just in, I'm back. It's been 3 long years and I have returned with great new content. Here's the new intro.
If you only knew truth in the rough, crystal clear stories, no time for fluff. Scratch the vinyl, beats that slap tough. Life's a maze, but we got the right stuff.
My name is Richard, and this is If You Only Knew. Back in 2021, I left my channel up intentionally so that one day I could return when censorship wasn't as bad as it was between 2020 to 2021. So here I am back at 2024, at the cusp of 2025, with a ton of great new videos and shorts. Right around when I arrived in Texas, I put the channel on pause for a variety of reasons, one of which was heavy censorship. And right after that, I got hit with around 15 to 20 community guideline violations, one right after the next, all within the same hour. So most of my videos are gone, but I also took down a bunch of videos as well because it's been 3 long years and so much has changed. I also wanted a clean slate so that there'd only be a few videos from If You Only Knew 1.0, but I've also uploaded quite a few brand new videos, so be sure to check those out. Before I forget, don't you forget to smash that like button, subscribe, and share with a friend or foe. Both helps. I did want to return a lot sooner, but so much has happened since moving to Texas. For one thing, I have a kid now. I am a dad, and I am loving it. I am so proud of my daughter. Frankly, she is part of the reason why I am back. As some of you might remember, I'm originally from New York City. I moved to Dallas, Texas in January 2021 after I got fed up with New York City and all of the tyrannical restrictions during COVID. If you were not from a major city, places like New York City were living hell. Anyone who wasn't on board with getting the Fauci ouchie were vilified while you had to show proof of vaccination to go just about anywhere. People absolutely hated you if you didn't subscribe to the NPC groupthink. It was the worst possible place to be if you were awake and knew what was going on. And frankly, it was just torture having to pretend day after day that it was the deadly virus that the media said it was because people would flip out on you. Only recently did New York City tell all of its restaurants to take down all their little outdoor shanty shacks that they had put up when indoor activities were banned. Like many major cities in the U.S., since 2020, New York City is struggling to remain a place where people want to live, while also recently mandating a $9 commuter fee for anybody who drives into town. Even motorcycles have to pay $4.50. While I'm glad that 40% voted for Trump in New York City, it still feels like the most fascist city with rules like these.
Are we ready? Here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
So, like any sane person, I got to New York City and found a way to move across the country and start a new life in Texas, which I am very grateful that I did. I do love it, and as of right now, I never plan to go back. Maybe for business or to see my family, but only to visit, never to live and work, especially not pay the 12 to 15% in taxes. That's yet another perk of Dallas, Texas, no city or state taxes, so you can keep that money or better yet, give it to your family. It did take a while to get acclimated as a New Yorker. It's such a different world, but now I'm proud to call Texas my home, and I could never imagine. It's definitely a culture shock coming from the Northeast. For starters, Dallas is far more spaciously spread out. So you're not as packed together like sardines in a tiny space next to one another, which does have an effect on your psyche, like it or not, like a person with all the cells next to each other. But you never see that in the media coverage of New York City, as well as the high levels of homelessness or garbage everywhere. It's always exciting shots of Times Square or the skyline of New York City at night or the Statue of Liberty. But the thing, frankly, I miss the least is that Frank Sinatra theme song that I personally believe is just brainwashing the residents to never leave, like it's its own New York mini national anthem. If I can make it here, I can make it anywhere.
If I can make it there, I'll make it anywhere.
Frankly, it's genius. It's marketing to get people to voluntarily to want to pay higher taxes and enjoy a much lower cost of living. Now, don't get me wrong. There is a legitimate metropolitan complex downtown, not far from where I live in uptown Dallas, but it just feels different. It's not as dense with a much smaller population, but surprisingly, Dallas does have the highest birth rate in the country. By the way, here are some other crazy facts. Texas is so big, it could be its own country. If it were a country, it would be the 10th largest economy in the world. It's bigger than any European country. It would be the 39th largest country in the world. It's now the fourth largest. Dallas is the fourth largest city in the USA, with the census estimating about 8 million residents as of 2023. Texas is 800 miles wide. Texas has the most snake species, about 68 total. Margaritas, 7-Eleven, and Dr. Pepper were all invented in Texas. It is the hottest state. And by the way, for anybody complaining about the traffic, take a look at this.
There's no wonder there's so much traffic in the state of Texas. This is the TxDOT project tracker map, and all of the red is showing all of the projects.
How much more proof of record-breaking growth do you need? Now, I know that most New Yorkers will laugh at some of these facts, but they also pay really high city and state taxes for a very dirty city, a very dirty subway where a lot of crime takes place. Recently, Governor Hochul unveiled a 5-point plan to make improvements on the subway, which is obviously not an indication of how good things are going right now. Now, there's no subway in Dallas, but out by me, there is a free trolley. There is a DART, but if you're in a hurry, you're probably just going to drive. Now, the traffic does suck in Dallas, and driving here is hella dangerous compared to New York City. Dallas alone has some of the most dangerous highways in America. It can be a shock to anybody visiting to see the sheer number of accidents here. But frankly, I'll take that over the crime in New York City any day, for which you pay a premium to live versus the cost of living in rent in Dallas is night versus day. Space is a lot more affordable in Dallas and easily half the cost of New York City. It's not crazy or unusual to have a house that's over 3,000 square feet. Your typical small apartment in Dallas is around 600 square feet. You definitely don't feel as cramped, and for me, it's hard to even imagine going back to a tiny apartment in New York City. It feels a lot more free, open, and also safe. It's nice to be able to own and carry a pistol and be able to protect my home, so I feel a lot safer. I can't even imagine living in a city that denies you of your Second Amendment rights. I'd say the people are noticeably healthier in Dallas and in far better shape, which is probably something to do with the fact that it's so hot here that people wear less layers and people just become more conscious of fitness. The fresh air, diet, and mentality make a huge difference. I would even say that people are even dressed up a bit more, but that's what I would probably call an old money versus new money attitude. People here will assume that if you have money, they'll dress like it. There's not much stealth wealth in Dallas, whereas in New York City, the wealthy prefer to remain discreet.
If you only knew truth in the rough, crystal clear stories, no time for fluff. Scratch the vinyl, beats that slap tough. Life's a maze, but we got the right stuff.